person along the way. A blinding fire appears at the site of the wound, completely engulfing the person. One of the pioneers thinks that Jiang Kai has made a deal with the devil. Huang Wei tries to suggest that the protagonist is only good at long-range attacks. He gives the order to approach Kai and attack him with a melee weapon. Huang Wei is sincere in his belief that his theory is correct after analyzing Jiang Kai's actions. However, 2 more of his partners are burned to death by the hero's weapon. Huang Wei hears the dying screams of one of his henchmen. As he approaches Huang Wei, the protagonist calls his opponents trash. There is not a drop of compassion on his face for those who dared to cross his path. In a panic, Huang Wei tries to understand how Jiang Kai managed to become so strong. Materializing a weapon in his hand, Jiang Kai says that he planned to forget all the grievances. The hero's battle spear appears in his hand and he approaches his enemy. He mercilessly raises his weapon right above Huang Wei's body. With a wicked smile on his face, Jiang Kai says that Huang deserves to die a second time. The spear tip goes straight to Huang Wei's head, who is unaware of the whole situation. The last thing he uttered before he died was a piercing scream that echoed throughout the forest. Jiang Kai notices that after killing his enemies, his level has increased to 17. Suddenly, the system notifies him that for killing travelers, he is receiving the punishment of a bloodthirsty killer. This punishment reveals the location of the main character and increases the experience for his death. The person who receives such punishment becomes the most important target for everyone. Jiang Kai's professional talent increased the severity of the punishment by a full 10-fold. He understands that as soon as he dies, he will lose almost 30 characteristic points. He decides to avoid crowded places and find tears of repentance to remove the effect of the punishment. At this time, a meeting of the Huang family members is taking place in the garrison. Someone inside the tents is screaming so loudly that the guards cower in fear. The source of the voice is Huang Wei's father, Huang Tong, who is the head of the Permafrost Island garrison. The elder brother Wan Da asks what they should do now. The man punches and says they need to go to war. His decision is supported with smiles by all the assembled members of the Huang family. At this time, Jiang Kai's team is trying to leave the Permafrost Island. Suddenly, their squad hears strange sounds coming from afar. Jiang Kai assumes that these are the sounds of battle and that the Huang family has started the war. Hu Yan asks Kai to turn around and pay attention to something. The ice on which the 3 of them are standing begins to crack everywhere. A monster's hand slowly emerges from under the ice onto the surface. The team looks up and notices a huge number of monsters that have awakened. Among them all, they note the mountain animals, which appear to be the most dangerous. The monsters feature a boss of an unknown level known as the Frozen Fish Lord. The entire team feels a strange and strong pressure from the outside, and Yuan Yu admits that he is scared. At this time, Huang Tong appears and tells everyone to prepare for the boss fight. He leads behind him a strong and powerful army of pioneers. Many of them are scared when they see the monster, but they still do not retreat and decide to fight. Finally, the man shouts furiously about the beginning of the great battle. After receiving the order, many warriors immediately rush to attack. Hu Yan suggests that Jiang Kai should get out of here, and she can't believe that the boss is being attacked by 200,000 people at once. However, Jiang Kai says that they are not going anywhere now, which surprises the team. He understands that while the battle is going on, the Huang family cannot control him. The protagonist invites them to watch the boss battle, and they head to the position. At this time, the pioneers continue to battle with a serious enemy. Level 25 monsters attack Devil Star players. The size and strength of the creatures causes many people to begin to feel fear. One of the pioneers is simply swept away by the monsters, knocking him off balance. His body is held up to the creature's mouth as he begs for someone to come to his aid. However, no one helps him, and he is crushed alive by the monster's teeth. The sight they saw caused many people to experience animal fear. At this time, Jiang Kai's team continues to watch the ongoing battle. Jiang notes that until the boss dies, creatures younger than him will continue to spawn. The main thing in all this is not the battle of pioneers with ordinary monsters that look like fish. The main group of pioneers goes straight to the huge boss. The leader of the Huang family intends to use his skills to defeat the monster. He is supported by many allied forces, including healers, who buff him. In addition, his partners attack together with him. Together as a true team, they strike the monster with all their might. There is a huge flash, the brightness of which makes it impossible to see what is happening. Jiang Kai's allies are speechless upon seeing such strength. Jiang Kai, however, orders them to look further despite their fear. The protagonist uses his focusing skill to notice the smallest details. He says that pioneers only look strong from the outside. However, with the help of his skill, he notes that the boss's defense is still not broken. This is also noticed by the pioneers, who are shocked by what is happening. The boss decides not to hesitate and attacks the pioneers in response, swinging his weapon hard. He hits the group of pioneers straight on, sending them flying into the air. Many people lose consciousness, or even die from the wounds they receive. Their bodies fall back to the ground after being thrown up by one blow. The monster only mocks how weak humans are before him. With one blow, the boss manages to kill 8 pioneers, which shocks the onlookers. Jiang Kai notes the astonishing strength of a king-level boss. Another pioneer attacks the creature from the side, intent on revenge. Jiang Kai and Hu Yan begin to openly worry, because before this, the monster dealt with 8 people at once. Despite the difference in strength, the man attacks the monster with his spear. People are preparing themselves for another death to happen before their eyes. There is a loud sound from the impact of weapons on weapons. The tips of the monster's trident and the man's spear touch, and a deadly energy is generated between them. The monster looks at the man from head to toe in bewilderment. Observers see that the unknown man managed to stop the monster's attack. The enraged man asks how the monster dared to kill his comrades. The man turns out to be a spearman named Zhang Fan, who is the strongest in the Xuanwu Guild. He says that no one else will die at the hands of the monster. Using his special talent, Blessing of the Dead, the man attacks the enemy. He manages to break through the boss's strong defense with the first blow. The monster's wound suddenly and sharply begins to bleed. After this, people have a clear and distinct hope for their own victory. One of the people says that everyone died so that Zhang Fei could become more powerful with his skill. Thanks to the Blessing of the Dead, he receives 25% of the power of each deceased. Overwhelmed with new power, Zhang Fei charges at the monster. He attacks him from all sides with his newfound agility. The observers are happy about this outcome of events, because they have no doubt that the battle will end in success. As Jiang Kai's team watches, a strange shadow appears behind them. Hu Yan shouts with all his might and tries to encourage Zhang Fei, believing in his strength. At this moment, a level 25 fishman appeared behind Jiang Kai's team. Players' sensors detect a large number of fish-like monsters due to the attack on the boss. Upon hearing this news, Huang Tong calls the monsters that have arrived a real army. All new monsters have excellent skill ratings and are at least level 30. The commander then decides to ignore the fish and help Zhang Fei defeat the monster. Now the battlefield is divided into 5 different sectors, each of which fights different types of monsters. The leader of the Huang family allocated a large number of people to fight the fish in each of the districts. But if they manage to break through the rear of the pioneers, then an easy victory over the boss cannot be expected. There is a risk of death for people, because the danger of monsters cannot be denied. Huang Tong says that it will take Zhang Fei 30 minutes to defeat the boss. His son looks at a map of the permafrost island, trying to figure out how long it will take for the monsters to arrive. According to him, the monsters will arrive in 10 minutes or a little later. At this time, Zhang Kai protects his team from the sudden threat of a monster. He manages to kill an elite humanoid monster using flame magic. The team says there are too many monsters here and they need to get out of here. But Zhang Kai, with a serious face, expressed his confusion as he looked around at his allies. He looks into the distance at the battle between humans and monsters, and says that the balance of power is being upset. The hero notes that if even one enemy breaks through, people could easily die. The protagonist admits that he would be glad to see the death of the entire Huang family. But then the future of the 200,000 people who went on the raid will not be bright. Wei Ying's, the commander's instructions about responsibility came back to his mind. Exhaling heavily, the protagonist turns his gaze to the blue sky. He tells his team that they simply cannot leave. Zhang Kai wants to bring all the enemies around them onto himself. He takes out his daggers and says with complete confidence that he can handle everyone himself. However, his team does not share his enthusiasm at all. Within 10 minutes, many of the pioneers are killed by monster fish. One of the subordinates suggests to his captain to escape, because there are too many enemies here. Many of the other pioneers support the soldier, saying they don't want to die here. Some of the soldiers, however, flatly refuse to flee from the enemy. The captain says that they should have been attacked by monsters 10 minutes ago. However, he notices that no one has attacked them yet, and there are no enemies even visible on the horizon. One of his subordinates reports that the Huang family did not station troops there at all. The captain says that this only proves that there was one powerful man hiding in the rear. He assumes that someone very strong is currently fighting the monsters. At this moment, several monsters are chasing after Zhang Kai. He uses all his strength to attract the enemy's attention and draw them away. He managed to take on several monsters that were several times larger than him. With his deadly attack, he cuts through the monsters, wounding them with his fiery weapon. He successfully manages to destroy 2 monsters by landing on the ground. In total, Zhang Kai had already defeated exactly 20 fish monsters. At this moment, Hu Yan is trying to escape from a bunch of monsters that are chasing him. At the same time, Yuan Yu is also persecuted by monsters. Zhang Kai tells his friends to hide behind him and promises to deal with the enemies. Hu Yan doubts Zhang Kai's abilities out loud, as he has to fight many monsters. With fatigue, the main character notices that he is very annoyed by destroying monsters one by one. One by one, the monsters surround him from every possible side. A fierce battle begins between the two, with Zhang Kai using all his strength. He has no intention of retreating for a second, intending to kill all the monsters. At the battle site, a strong flame appears due to the main character's abilities. In one strike, he kills 257 monsters at once, shocking his allies. People see a large explosion happening in the rear. Huang Wei's brother, Huang Da, tells his father that all the monsters in the rear have been destroyed. Huang Tong expressed doubt that it could have been the military, saying that they could not have arrived so soon. The commander lowers his gaze, trying to understand what is happening. He gives his subordinates the order to go and assist Zhang Fan in the boss fight. Another half-hour later, the battle with the enemy is still ongoing. The creature is enraged that it cannot defeat its opponent. Some of the pioneers already believe that they have won, because the monster's health has dropped to 65%. However, their laughter and joy are stopped by a trident rising upward. The monster begins to attack Zhang Fan with furious strength and speed, taking him by surprise. Huang Da shouts at Zhang Fang and asks him to be careful because the boss is entering a new stage. At this stage, the boss's attack speed becomes so strong that it will be almost impossible to track. Zhang Fan starts bleeding from his mouth from the boss's multiple attacks. He tries to protect himself from the monster's attacks with his hands, and his eyes begin to glow blue. The pioneer's health level drops to a critical 5%. Some of the people gathered think that the pioneer may die. However, the man is illuminated with colossal energy and covered with special combat armor. He provokes the boss, forcing him to attack Zhang Fan. The effect of all attacks is reduced due to the strength of the new special armor. The monster begins to receive damage to its body from its own attacks. Those watching the battle note the colossal power and importance of such armor. Huang Tong is proud of Zhang Fai, noting that he always believed in him and did not consider him an ordinary person. Meanwhile, the boss's health drops to 35%. The head of the Huang family happily says that the boss's health is about to drop to 30%. However, for a moment, the boss's evil and bloodthirsty gaze focuses. Something unknown starts flying right from his side at great speed. A huge tentacle appears and strikes the attacker right in the chest. Due to the force of the blow, he is thrown back a huge distance. As soon as the smoke clears, people notice that he is lying unconscious and his entire body is wounded. Zhang Fan's health drops to a critical 1%. This attack is a special boss skill called Armor Break. The father calls it complete carelessness that they failed to find out about such a skill of the boss. He says out loud that this battle has come to an end, and that they have lost. Zhang Kai's team slowly approaches the scene. At the same time, fish-like monsters continue to attack people from all sides. The attack of one of the monsters stops against the shield with a loud screech. The defending man calls out the names of Juju and Sun Wanwan, saying that he only wanted to appear strong in their eyes. The monster continues to pound the pioneer's shield as he tries to hold on for another second. Exhausted, Juju and Sun Wanwan were forced to watch helplessly. In a panic, the girl turns to the crowd and begs for someone to help her captain. However, all the people around her are subjected to brutal attacks from the monsters. Without any mercy, monsters kill people one by one. Finally, the man's shield shatters from the continuous attacks. The monster, extremely pleased with this, screams furiously, intending to finish off the man. The monster's blow is aimed straight at the man's head, to instantly take his life. Suddenly, several fiery daggers fly towards us. They bite into the monster's carcass, setting it on fire and then killing it. The lifeless body of the monster falls with a crash onto the white snow. Sun Wanwan and her captain watch what is happening with bewilderment, while Juju is happy about what has happened. Finally, Zhang Kai himself appears, engulfed in flames and clutching knives. However, he runs past his former friends, saying that he needs to fight the boss. Juju's body trembled as he tried to slowly stand up, not believing Zhang Kai's words. As he stood up, he wondered why he saw Zhang Kai so clearly. Sun Wanwan also points out this, saying that she also saw him too clearly. At this time, people continue their battle with the monsters with the last of their strength. They all freeze for a moment, as if they were processing something at the same time. Each of them says that they feel someone approaching and understand that it is a bloody killer. Zhang Kai's team tries to dissuade him from rushing into battle at the last moment. It is right before the eyes of as many as 30,000 people. He runs through the crowd, instantly capturing all attention. Then people decide to completely switch their attention to the main character, forgetting about the monsters. They instantly form a team that is driven by a single goal, which is to defeat Zhang Kai. At the very last moment, the main character manages to react thanks to his strong reflexes. There is a huge explosion, covering the entire space around. Sun Wanwan and Juju watch the situation in fear, thinking that Kai has already been killed. In desperation, his friend thinks that Zhang is defeated in just one blow. However, who successfully manages to emerge from the attack unscathed, moving on. The people defeated by the attack are very surprised, because the main character is not even level 20. His friends and former partners are sincerely happy that Zhang Kai was able to escape. Slowly, a man arrives on the battlefield, who is the captain of Sun Wanwan and Juju. He is surprised that the protagonist is still alive after being attacked by level 20 and above pioneers. Huang Da tells his father that he sensed Zhang Kai's presence heading towards the boss. Huang Tong only says that they must first reduce the number of casualties anyway. Huang Da tries to argue with his father, feeling a strange heaviness in his heart. He says that he has a strange feeling that Zhang Kai will be able to defeat the boss. At this time, the main character, without stopping for a second, continues to run towards the enemy. It was Commander-in-Chief Wei Ying who motivated Zhang Kai to fight. The country is currently experiencing a crisis and needs any help, including his. Zhang Kai then turns to the AI, saying that he wants to use a one-time skill. According to the skill, it steals 0.1% of the stats of anyone who looks at it for 30 minutes. Only now does the protagonist realize how useful this skill can be. Now that everyone is hunting for the bloody killer, it won't be difficult for him to collect the stats. He attracts the attention of all groups of people in the area at once. With hundreds of thousands of people on the battlefield, he can gain a huge boost. Because of this, he instantly gains enhanced attributes that are immediately reflected on his body. Huang Da informs his father that Jiang Kai is indeed approaching the boss. Huang Tong asks with obvious excitement what is going on. His eldest son says that Jiang Kai's characteristics have improved greatly. Now his strength is much higher than that of the general himself, which greatly surprises the head of the Huang family. At this time, a large number of people and monsters accumulate in the Fishman Zone where Jiang Kai is. Fish-like monsters of levels 50 and above begin to appear around the area. One of these elite monsters rushes straight towards Jiang Kai. Huang Tong doubts Jiang Kai's intentions, but still thinks that being bitten by such a monster would make even strong pioneers fear him. The monster relentlessly pounces straight at Jiang Kai, intending to kill him. Jiang Kai, however, swings his hand back instead of retreating. With his powerful blow, he hits the fish-like monster with all his strength. With one hand, he kills an elite monster, shocking everyone watching. People assumed that Jiang Kai had the ability to kill the boss on his own. Jiang Kai is noticed by the commander of the fish-like people, who is at level 71. The monster throws away ordinary people who are around him with his bare hands. The monster attacks Jiang Kai with a huge beam from its own mouth. Under this attack, Jiang Kai covers his ears and feels unable to move. The Huang family gloats at Jiang Kai, saying that he shouldn't have rushed at the boss. After the main character is stunned, the monster attacks him. Jiang Kai's allies excitedly shout his name, worried about him. At this point, Yuan Yu drinks a huge amount of alcohol. He rushes at the monster that is fighting Jiang Kai, seeing it as a beautiful creature. With his appearance, he almost stuns the monster and knocks him off his feet. The drunk boy tries to shout to the monster, continuing to attract his attention. He literally hugs the monster's face, forcing it to turn away from Jiang Kai. With his vulgar behavior, he literally freezes the monster's actions. The monster's palm begins to slowly contract, trying to move. With a swift movement, the monster throws Yuan Yu off its body. However, this does not stop the boy at all, because due to his drunkenness, he receives very little damage. People who don't know Yuan Yu think that he is some kind of general since he doesn't take damage from the monster. At this moment, Jiang Kai slowly rises to his feet, silently saying that he did not give Yuan the order to return. Hu Yan, who never intended to abandon her captain, also returns. She begins to summon rain with her skill. Afterwards, she tells Jiang Kai to leave, saying that Yuan Yu won't last long. At this time, the boy continues to approach the captain of the fish-like monsters. Jiang Kai is genuinely surprised that his team has come back to help him. A smile begins to appear on his face, and he says that all that remains now is to continue. People standing on the sidelines cannot understand the benefits of the rain spell. Jiang Kai tells Hu Yan that he relies on her and Yuan Yu. In a panic, one of the men notices and points at something. When they start looking at the sky, they see that it is not raining at all. Due to extremely low temperatures, heavy hail is falling from the sky. People protect themselves from the ice falling on them with their hands. Ice also attacks normal people, not monsters, which really pisses them off. Hu Yan, however, is justifiably proud of his successful spell. She says that now no one will dare to touch Jiang Kai again while the hail continues. Hu Yan tells Jiang Kai not to be distracted and go fight the boss. He looks around at the crowd of monsters, who are completely distracted by the hail that has begun. None of these monsters pay any attention to the main character. Hu Yan reminds Jiang Kai that they are one team, and that he does not have to fight alone. Jiang Kai stops at the words he hears, as they pleasantly surprise him. Some people, defending themselves from hail, are finally able to defeat the monsters. Jiang Kai gathers his weapon and uses it to cause a series of explosions. With a proud gait, the main character walks through the ranks of monsters, killing them along the way. The Huang family members can't believe their eyes that Jiang Kai has killed the commander-in-chief. Even a team of 10,000 people could not defeat such a monster. Thanks to the absorbed characteristics, Jiang Kai became extremely strong and powerful. Filled with energy, he continues his journey straight to the royal tier boss. After some time, he finally approaches his enemy. He looks up at the monster and calls him a freak, mocking him. People who don't know Jiang Kai can't believe that he actually got close to the boss. Hu Yan supports his captain, telling him to move forward. With support from Jiang Kai, he goes into battle, intending to finish off the enemy. The monster slowly prepares for battle, grabbing his huge trident. Captain Su Nuanuan and Juju say that the monster is about to deal a critical hit. After this, the monster immediately attacks Jiang Kai with the aim of finishing him off. Despite this, the protagonist continues to run towards his opponent. He easily dodges the monster's attacks with his increased agility. Jiang Kai notes that he easily reacts to the monster's movements, although it has clearly become faster. He climbs onto the trident, wondering if he should continue to dodge. Jiang Kai smirked, anticipating his victory over the enemy. The observers look at everything that is happening in surprise, noticing that the boss was unable to land a single blow. Hu Yan supports his captain, motivating him to fight. The Huang family, unlike the others, is unpleasantly surprised, because they are on bad terms with Jiang Kai. The protagonist continues to dodge the boss's attacks with great dexterity. All of the monster's attacks are too slow for him. He uses his fire daggers to attack the monster from a distance. Multiple explosions occur above the monster's body, showering it with fire. The monster survives, and a large limb appears above its body, the same one that had previously nailed Zhang Fan. In just 10 minutes, Zhang Kai manages to reduce the creature's health to 25%. The monster is not going to stop, continuing to attack the main character with his trident. The monster approaches the protagonist, clutching its weapon in its hands. Zhang Kai looks at the monster approaching him with disdain. From a distance, the monster looks like a rather formidable and dangerous creature. The observers are worried about Zhang Kai's fate, because in the eyes of others he still appears weak. Zhang Kai mockingly asks the monster if he realized how dangerous the protagonist is. In response, the monster begins to scream very loudly, raising its face into the air. Zhang Kai jumps into the air, saying that he won't fall for this trick again. He looks up to see the monster flying straight at him with a trident. A huge column of snow rises, completely covering the area around the battle. The impact is so powerful that it shakes the surface beneath the pioneers. However, the monster's trident breaks into many pieces. The monster looks at his paws in bewilderment, not understanding how his weapon could have been destroyed. Zhang Kai says from the rising haze that he himself has a good weapon. The fog clears and Zhang Kai appears before the monster, unharmed. None of the assembled warriors can believe that Zhang Kai was able to withstand the monster's blow. The main character says that there is no more time to waste and attacks the monster. He decides to deal damage to the monster and throws his daggers, engulfed in fire, at it. The monster's body is engulfed in a large fire, causing damage. The damage causes the monster to fall to one knee, and its health drops to 15%. Zhang Kai has no intention of stopping and continues his furious attacks. New explosions appear on the monster's body over and over again, causing damage to it. The monster screams in extreme agony, and its health drops to 5%. With a smile, Zhang Kai shows the monster his arrogance. The protagonist charges up his flames, preparing to continue his devastating attacks. The monster's body is engulfed in colossal fire, completely consuming it. The people slowly watch as the monster begins to stagger. It falls to the ground, accompanied by many glances from people around. Finally, the monster's body falls right in front of Zhang Kai, raising snow all around. The main character looks at the defeated enemy with anger and arrogance. The monster's body is completely limbless, and its blood begins to cover the snow around it. The boss's health while lying on the ground drops to 0.1%. Huang Tong looks at everything that is happening with distrust, not wanting to accept the protagonist's victory over the boss. Moreover, Zhang Kai himself remained completely unharmed after the battle with the monster. At this moment, an unknown person arrives on the battlefield, saying that everything was already over as soon as the military arrived. The man who appears turns out to be Kei Sheng, Deputy Supreme Commander Wei Ying. Along with him, another guy named Lu Jun appears, who is also a deputy commander. Lu Jun admits that he himself did not expect such an outcome of the battle. According to the man, it was Zhang Kai that the commander placed the greatest hopes on. Huang Tong orders his subordinates to prevent Zhang Kai from finishing off the boss. The man commands to stop fighting the fishmen and instead switch to Zhang Kai. The man's face is covered with anger and hatred towards the main character. He threatens that if the boss kills Zhang Kai first, those participating in the raid will not receive a penny. Many of the soldiers begin to become resentful, because they have families to feed. They assume that they have no choice but to kill Zhang Kai. Enraged, the male pioneers form a group to attack the protagonist. They run even though the fish-like monsters are still attacking them. Obsessed with the desire to make a profit, they run forward no matter what. From the top, the main character looks at the entire crowd, which is rapidly approaching him. However, there is no fear on his face, only an intrigued smile. He lifts Zhang Fan from the ground, calling him the strongest member of the Huang family. The man is surprised that Zhang Kai, instead of finishing off the boss, lifts him up. The protagonist admits that he would not dare abandon the one who attacked the boss first. Zhang Fang says that if the hero finishes off the boss, the Huang family will end their suffering. Together, they approach the body of the almost dead boss, supporting each other. Zhang Kai offers his new partner to deal the finishing blow. Zhang Fang was left speechless by this proposal. The main character asks to hurry, otherwise the Huang family will catch up with him. Zhang Fan understands his mission and resolutely begins to approach the monster. Coming closer and closer, he thanks Zhang Kai for the opportunity. Suddenly, the monster's body receives a severe wound, causing bleeding. The monster's gaze mixes fear, pain, rage, and hatred. The monster begins to scream loudly due to the agony caused by the pain. The monster's scream spreads throughout the permafrost valley, deafening people. He also reaches the Huang family's position, alerting them to his presence. A notification appears that it was the Xuanwu Guild member who defeated the boss, not the main character. Upon death, the boss's body begins to burn in a strange blue flame. The Fishman army begins to retreat after losing their leader. The soldiers realize that they can still get a reward for killing the boss. Huang Tong can't believe what's happening, and Huang Da grits his teeth and calls out the main character's name. They are greatly surprised that Jiang Kai refused to deal the final blow to the monster. People rejoice, calling the bloodthirsty killer in the person of Jiang Kai not so bad. Jiang Kai is praised by his former team, calling him great. One of the men is proud of him, calling him a great and true hero. Hu Yan proudly praises his captain, almost exalting him and his powers. Many soldiers call the Huang family disgusting because they didn't care about people's lives. Not used to hearing this kind of attitude, Huang Tong and Huang Da were stunned by what was happening. The eldest son tells his father that 200,000 people refused to take part in the upcoming battle. This news infuriates the man so much that veins appear on his forehead, and he remembers Jiang Kai as his enemy. He commands all his forces to speak, saying that he will take revenge on Jiang Kai the next time they meet. At this time, very close to the blue flame, Zhang Fan and Jiang Kai were talking to each other. Zhang Fang says that he is now the protagonist's debtor, and asks to find out what the protagonist's characteristics are. Jiang Kai, however, does not hide anything, and admits that he once exchanged the characteristics of those around him for his own. He says that he is not really such a strong person. The protagonist explains that he managed to turn the bloodthirsty killer's punishment into a blessing. He shakes Zhang Fan's hand in friendship, intending to continue his story. However, quite suddenly, several tentacles envelop the main character's body. He is taken away right from under Zhang Fan's nose as he tries to shout to Jiang Kai. The huge blue limbs, squeezing the protagonist, lift him into the air. Every second they wrap themselves around him even tighter, squeezing his body. A worried Hu Yan runs as fast as she can towards Zhang Fan, who is kneeling on one knee. With sorrow and guilt, the man says that it is his fault that Captain Hu Yan was captured. Trembling, he slowly admits that he is forced to deliver bad news. According to him, there is a high probability that the protagonist provoked the boss's posthumous revenge. This is a unique skill that is activated only after the boss is killed. Revenge, as a rule, always turns out to be successful, and travelers face cruel punishment. After dying on the Devil's Star in this way, people in real life can no longer recover from the torment they experienced. This provokes all those who suffered from the boss's revenge to commit suicide. Hu Yan trembles at what she hears and timidly asks if the same fate awaits her captain. She doesn't want to believe Zhang Fan's words, and small tears begin to appear in her eyes. She calls Jiang Kai's name with all her might, trying to reach him. At this moment, Jiang Kai felt incredible pain that covered his body. He cannot understand what kind of place he is in and what is happening. Once he finally opens his eyes, he finds himself suspended by tentacles. Below him is a boss who torments the main character with a grin and pleasure. The monster doesn't even try to hold back his laughter from the pleasure he's getting. Some tentacles pass through the protagonist's body, while the rest hold him in place. He experiences terrible pain every second and is unable to even move. A warning appears that in 20 seconds all of his stats will disappear. The countdown begins, and beads of sweat appear on Jiang Kai's face from excitement. The monster that Jiang Kai fought sucked out all of his strength and stats. Slowly, the monster says that it will kill Jiang Kai, increasing its onslaught on him. A notification from the AI appears that the boss is activating his revenge. The pain becomes even stronger, and the main character begins to scream loudly, unable to contain himself. Suddenly, a blue light appears and passes right through the mass of tentacles. Jiang Kai lands on the ground next to the boss, leaning on his weakened arms. Looking over his body, he tries to understand whether its original characteristics will return. Filled with anger, the boss attacks the protagonist with the desire to finish him off. Jiang Kai quickly draws his blades, but admits that his body is too weak and that he cannot handle it on his own. His only chance is to take advantage of all the characteristics. In a second, he attacks the monster with all his daggers at once, throwing them into the enemy's body. With such a quantity of fire weapons, the entire space is illuminated with the brightest light. The heat literally tears the skin off the monster in the last seconds of the countdown, dealing damage to it. Finally, a huge and loud explosion thunders, engulfing the monster's body from head to toe. After some time, the smoke from the explosion clears, revealing the destroyed body of the monster. The main character, with the last of his strength, stays on his feet, looking at what is happening with a slight grin. The AI reports that Jiang Kai has access to explore a secret treasure area that no one has ever been to. He gains access to the secret underground kingdom of the Fishmen. He approaches a large door, behind which lies the secret treasure room of the frozen Lord of the Fishmen. The AI announces that a 10-minute countdown to the destruction of the dungeon has begun. Jiang Kai only has 10 minutes to collect and carry away as many treasures as he can. If he doesn't manage to leave within the set time, all his treasures are reset. Jiang Kai looks up and notices that the ceiling of the hall is starting to collapse. He rushes into the room as fast as he can, wanting to get as much treasure as possible. There is excitement and a little fear on his face that he might not make it in time. He slowly opens the door into the room and sees colossal treasures. His eyes find the secret medicine of the Fishmen, which can increase the characteristics by a total of 60 points. Realizing that he has no time at all, he drinks the liquid in one gulp, forcibly pouring it into himself. He decides to spend all his new points on dexterity in order to collect treasures faster. He then discovers the boss's secret treasure chest, filled with gold and strange stones. Jiang Kai notes that such rewards are most likely no less than A rank. However, even the chest is limited to 90 seconds to collect. The countdown begins and the main character hurries to pick up all the jewels. 90 seconds later, he lies tired on a mountain of mined resources. In addition, in the treasury he finds Tears of Regret, which will help him get rid of the title of Bloodthirsty Killer. Pleased with his findings, Jiang Kai continues to explore the area. Suddenly his gaze stops, attracted by some object. Turning his head, he sees a strange parchment located in a special recess. It turns out that this is a special item for transforming a profession upon reaching level 20. Jiang Kai hesitantly picks up the object and examines it from all sides. A whole day passes, and the funeral of the main character takes place on the surface. Hu Yan and Yuan Yu deeply mourn the loss of their beloved commander. At this time, Jiang Kai himself was slowly climbing up the ice walls. Hu Yan, however, thinks it's another fishman and prepares to slam it with a rock. Together with Yuan Yu, they begin to throw stones at the creature unknown to them. The main character fails to hold on and falls rapidly downwards. Hu Yan stops throwing stones and the meaning of what is happening slowly dawns on her. She notes with disbelief that the voice of the falling creature was very, very familiar. After Jiang Kai got out, he runs after his partners. For a second, he seems very kind and happy that they finally met. For a moment, Hu Yan and Yuan Yu trust this behavior and smile as well. However, the main character's face instantly changes, covering them with curses for attacking him. At this time on Earth, in the city of Zhangjiang number 18, they are trying to contact Kai. Wei Ying is informed that they were unable to contact the young man, but they were able to understand why he had grown so rapidly in strength. The reporter says that this is all because Jiang Kai used a one-time skill. Lu Jun, the deputy commander-in-chief, expresses doubts that the protagonist is still alive. The speaker folded his hands and agreed with Lu Jun that Jiang Kai could not be alive. However, Wei Ying stops them, saying that normal methods of thinking will not help in the situation with Kai. The man asks the crowd what the chances are that Jiang Kai not only survived, but also collected the treasure. He is assured that this is impossible, because in the 50 years of the Devil's Star's existence, only a few have succeeded in doing so. Each of them is an outstanding and special personality who was able to survive revenge and take the treasure. Lu Jun agrees, because Jiang Kai has only been registered on the Devil Star for a month and is not that strong. However, Wei Ying admits out loud that his intuition tells him something completely different. Suddenly, Su Lanlin bursts into his office, opening the door wide. She says that the goods have been registered, which confuses everyone gathered. It turned out that this was the girl's way of announcing the opening of an auction. With shock on her face, she almost screams